Palumbo here with an RX Muscle rant. Today's topic, Matt Jansen, Nick Walker. Coach, client, broken up, not broken up. A lot of people have asked me what my opinion on this whole thing was. And I really wasn't going to comment because it really didn't seem like it was that important, really. I mean, it's a big deal, a coach and a client breakup. It happens all the time. But I guess Nick Walker is the talk of the bodybuilding world lately. I mean, he won the Arnold Classic last year. He won the New York Pro. He plays top 5 at his first Olympia. I mean, that's a big deal. I mean, we don't see that happen very often. The guy is uber talented. He's got a tremendous amount of muscle. He brings massive amounts of conditioning to the stage. He's one of the more exciting bodybuilders that has come up through the ranks and now is making an impact at the highest level of bodybuilding. And so, of course, we're going to be talking about him a lot and what we think about, his strategies, what shows he's going to do. Evidently, from what I've gathered, from hearing all the stories back and forth on his Instagram, all the different videos that have been put out around the bodybuilding world and YouTube channels, Nick had, I guess after the Olympia, had wanted to do the Arnold Classic. And I guess Matt Jansen felt like, it wasn't a good idea and that he should take some time off and clean out and, take care of his health and all that stuff and then gear up for, later in 2022, whatever show he decided to do. And then obviously the Olympia would be of prime importance because that's the ultimate goal for Nick Walker, to win the Olympia. So I don't know what happened, but evidently Nick Walker was upset at some point that I guess Matt was also helping, other bodybuilders to get ready for the show, different shows. And I don't know if he actually made the statement that, at least Nick Trigili suggested that he did, that, hey, I don't want you training any other guys, except me at that elite level. And, that's not really fair to say to a coach. I mean, the guy makes his living doing this and, he enjoys doing it, and he's not going to, turn down, clients because one bodybuilder that he's working with, is telling him, hey, you can't train that person. You can't tell a guy how to do his job. You know what I mean? He's not going to give Nick Walker any less attention because he's working with, 3 other top, IFBB pros. And I guess it's not really, and look, Nick Walker could do whatever he wants. It's really up to him. If he wants a coach that only works with a couple people, then he can pick out a coach that can do that. However, I think that the Nick Walker original strategy of wanting to do the Arnold Classic in March was a good idea. And I'm sorry that we're not seeing him in that lineup. Now, normally, you hear me say guys should clean out and they should do this. He did clean out after the Olympia. I think that hitting an early show, because Nick Walker's always pretty much in shape, would have been smart. He could have won the Arnold. He could have gotten a really big paycheck, over $100,000. I don't know what the prize money's up to now. Maybe it's going to be $200,000 this year. That certainly would have gone a long way to helping him financially. And he had the ability to win that show. So I don't necessarily know if I agreed with Matt Jansen's approach, unless Nick Walker's blood work was horrendous. But I don't necessarily think that was the case. I think that Nick Walker should have done the Arnold. Then he could have taken the whole rest of the year off, because the Olympia is not till December of this year. So had it been in September, I think it would have been a good idea to take off the Arnold and then just hit the Olympia. But having seen that they moved the Olympia all the way to December of this year, I think that I would have liked to see Nick do the Arnold. I think he could have won it. I think he could have put a nice amount of money in his pocket. Let's face it, that's what it's all about at this point. He's young. He has the ability to get in shape multiple times a year. I think it would have been a good move on his part to do the Arnold Classic. Now, I don't know if that's ultimately what broke up the duo of these guys, but, I answered on Ask Dave today. One of the questions was, how do you pick a coach? How does a young guy pick a coach? And it's about resonating with that person. It's about getting along with that person and how it goes. Now, it seems as though they clicked pretty well because they had some good success together, but maybe Nick's needs have evolved and he needs someone who's going to be doing, or maybe he needs someone who is going to be more involved with him exclusively. And there are coaches out there that don't work with a lot of people that he can work with, for sure. There's also people that he might get along with better, I don't know, and might be more willing to accept his input in terms of what competitions he wants to do. I'm not against Nick doing the big shows where the big money is, because he can win these shows. He showed us last year. He won New York Pro, and he won the Arnold. Why not hit the Arnold again this year and then wait and do the Olympia at the end of the year? That would have been a very, very good strategy. So I think maybe that turned him off a little bit, to the fact that he was convinced or talked out of doing the Arnold. I don't know. I haven't spoken to him. I'm speculating here, of course. The bottom line is that it's really none of our business as reporters, social media, starlights, or whatever you want to call us, people that give our opinions, our good opinions. It's really none of our business whether Nick Walker and Matt are not going to work together or not. It's interesting to talk about the dynamic of why maybe Nick is not going to work with Matt, or why Matt said to Nick, hey, look, I'm not going to give up my clients to work with you. That's fine. And you know what? Nick has every right to make demands on his coach, and his coach has every right to make demands on him. If they don't click and they don't mesh then you move on and you find someone else. I think it's a mistake if they got along well and they obviously got good results, but maybe Nick needs more than that right now. And that's, you can't really crucify him. I think people are really coming down hard on him for maybe making these, demands on Matt. But at the end of the day, Matt is, getting paid by Nick, I'm assuming. He's getting, the accolades for helping Nick. And so Nick has every right to put forth what he needs in terms of an athlete with his coach. So the real bottom line is that it's none of our business to judge either one of these guys. Matt's a great coach. Nick's a great bodybuilder. If they can't work together, they can't work together. Maybe they'll get back together in the future. Maybe Nick will realize the grass isn't greener on the other side. Or maybe he'll find a better coach that he meshes even better with and he'll win the Olympia. That's the great thing about bodybuilding. That's the great thing about life. There's no right and wrong decisions. There's only what serves you now, in this time, in this moment. I wish them the best of luck. I know we're going to see Nick doing some great things at the Olympia later this year, and I'm sure Matt's clients are going to be doing great stuff as well at all the shows they're going to be competing at during the year. For now, though, I'm Dave Palumbo with an RX Muscle Rant.